Hey, this is Real Talk, and today we talk persuasion. Persuasion. How do people influence our attitudes, our beliefs, our actions, our behaviors, our motivations? There are a number of factors or dimensions to influence. They have been tried, they've been tested, they've been well researched. But there are a number of fields in which people try to influence you. It could be sales in terms of trying to get you to purchase something, or it could be in terms of politics. Somebody wants to influence your voting behavior. It could be spiritual or religious. Somebody wants you to ascribe or hold the beliefs of a particular group. But there are, as I said before, a number of tried and tested dimensions to influence and persuasion. Now, we are social beings as humans, and the proof of that for me was most profound when I was doing my intern as a counselor psychotherapist, and I was working in a prison on suicide watch. Now, there were a number of punishments that were dished out to individuals who had broken the behavioral code of the establishment, who've broken the rules of the prison, to put it bluntly. And it could be a loss of access to a television or a PlayStation machine, or it could be having closed visits or limitations on the type of visits that you had. However, one of the most strictest, if not the strictest form of punishment was sending somebody to the isolation block, or what they used to call the SEG, or segregation unit. And that led me to think, wow, that's quite profound in one sense, because this is a place that is filled with undesirable individuals. There may be murderers here, there may be rapists here, there may be thieves here, there may be all types of people, as well as those innocent who are just waiting to be tried and to be released from the establishment. But there are a number of unsavory individuals in this establishment. However, people would prefer to spend time and socialize with that group than to spend time alone. And that was a kind of confirmation for me, just on a real level, of how social human beings are, and that we tend to prefer to be around people. In fact, it's not just in places like that. Isolation, even on a social level, where people are, when a peer group want to punish an individual, they're sent to Coventry. We have this term, sent to Coventry, so people have limited contact. I mean, isn't that how, for example, cults work? When they isolate you as a form of punishment from former members and things of this nature, or from the members or a fear of being isolated is always there as a punishment. So let's look at some of the aspects, some of the factors, some of the dimensions of persuasion. One of the interesting things about persuasion is the term they use, reciprocity. So this is, do unto me as I do unto you. Salespeople will say, here is a free sample. Ever had that happen before? Here is a free sample of this new perfume. They hold you at your wrist. Let me just give you some of this free perfume. Or you would like a little taste of this new product? But the psychological mechanisms at work, yes, they're allowing you to taste that product or to sample that perfume and to see if it's something that you like. But also there's a psychological pressure to feel like, well, they've given me something for free, so I should maybe return. You have organizations that come and give you a free flower or something like that at an airport, and they hope that you make a donation. Oftentimes people do, but that's reciprocity at work. That also works in the dynamic of what they call good cop, bad cop. So there's one person, if there's a team, giving you a lot of pressure, giving you a hard time, and then the other person is there to alleviate the pressure. You've seen it in the movies, they're holding their partner off because the partner wants to give it to the suspect, and they say, no, cool down, calm down. And then they send him out the room, and it's, I'm helping you out, I'm there for you. I've saved your skin, so you got to give me some information. So that's the term, that's reciprocity at work. You also have something called social proof. When people, as humans, we're influenced by the group. When we see that something is popular, it creates a phenomena, and it's like a upward trajectory. It makes it more popular. Why the hell would you see people queuing outside of a store overnight for a particular phone or a particular electronic device, what's going to be available on day 3 or day 4, but because so many people are down there queuing up, it must be the best thing in town. I've got to have it, and I've got to have it today. I've got to have it the day that it's released. Social proof. We have the thing called authority we are influenced, we are persuaded very much by authority figures. This happens in advertising when the product is released, and they usually have an individual who is wearing a white coat, giving his or her thumbs up to the product, and then we're saying, well, they're an expert, they must know about this particular thing, and it seems as if it's being given, you know, by the experts have given it the all clear. We really are influenced by authority figures so much in this society. It's unreal. There was an experiment that was done by a psychologist some years ago, and it was repeated in a number of different locations, different cultures, what they call cross-cultural studies. And it was a Milgram's famous experiment about conformity. And it was after what had taken place in World War II, and with the Nazis and the whole Nazi movement and the whole Holocaust thing, made him quite profoundly perturbed and tried to understand, how did so many people go along with what was obviously evil or, you know, disagreeable actions. So he was trying to understand, was it just something unique to that society? Was it unique to Germany? Or was it something that was more at play amongst human beings? And he set up an experiment where he had people who were posing as experiments, and they asked individuals to take part in this experiment where they were to test how much electricity could the human being withstand, you know, in terms of pain tolerance, something of this nature, pain tolerance. So they had an expert who was basically in on the experiment, telling them to attach this device. There was an individual that had electronic devices attached to them, but it wasn't really attached. It was just that the participant thought they were attached, and they were asked by the expert to administer more electricity incrementally. And even although the person there was an actor screaming out in pain and saying, I can't take it anymore, this is too much, and the expert gave them the nod to say just a little bit more, turn up, they found out that people were willing, even though they thought this might be bringing about unbelievable pain, even death, they would, it showed more often than not, significantly people did comply. They were complicit, they conformed because of the expertise. And this study was, as I said, is a cross-cultural study. It's been disturbingly, but it's been repeated in a number of places, a number of locations, and they found that human beings do conform. Human beings are influenced by their opinions or are influenced by people that we consider as authority figures. That white coat was a symbol of authority. We're also influenced by people that we like. This is where you get the idea of the Tupperware party, because it's your friend invited you over, they like you, you know, you cool with them, it's a friendly thing, or the Avon party or whatever the product is that you will purchase because, you know, it's done in that environment. It's not a stranger coming to your home. It's, you know, your friends put the party on, you know, so that's how you're influenced. There's also scarcity is another persuasive advice that advertisers use. They tell you that this is a limited offer. So in other words, it's scarce. It's only for a limited time. It's not indefinite. It's going to go up. The price is going to be all limited numbers. Tickets are selling fast. Book now. Book now. Give you a command. There's another method. And also there's the unity principle, which is, there are other principles, but this is one of the final principles that I want to talk about today, which is the unity principle, where it's me and you are alike. So sometimes you have salespeople who, when they're speaking to you and they're making conversation, they're trying to sell you a particular product and they're asking you about yourself. They're not just asking about yourself to make general chit chat or asking you about different just to be nice and making conversation. They're trying to find out a bit about you so they can start to possibly, at least some of the unethical ones will start to mirror and say, oh, that's what I was into that, or I've got a similar experience, or I've been there, or because you're like me, I'm like you. And then you're more pliable and more persuaded. If you think about it logically, you're going to be somebody that's diametrically different to you. Are you likely to be persuaded by them more or less than a person who you share so much in common? Hey, you know, we've got a rapport. So there are a number of factors, as I said, to deal with that deal with how we're persuaded. And human beings are social beings. We influence each other. We're influenced by the group that we're a member of, or groups that we identify with, as well as the groups identifying us. But just be aware, you too can be persuaded. I hope to see you next time for another edition of Real Talk. Been a pleasure.